with Ann Beal.
We have such an interesting topic today. I let you guys know what we were talking about last week. We do have Jason Cole here. So who is Jason Cole? Jason Cole, well, he was a smart kid growing up. He had good grades. He was in band. He was athletic, and he stayed out of trouble. He went to college right out of high school, and he was a hard worker. He worked full-time at a company while you were going to college, right?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Yes. He became a manager at 19 years old, very successful. He took the store from last place out of 500 to 1. They went from 500 to number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
So he was a very good manager, very successful. At 21, well, this is a lesson to be careful who you hang out with,
Yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all have learned that at one time or another. He got caught up with the wrong crowd. Not for very long at all.
It didn't take very long at all.
And this is the scary part for people. You know, you think that it won't affect you. Yeah, you know. So he didn't hang out with them very long. He got with the wrong crowd, and he ended up, he's going to share the story with us on one night, and it happened to be Friday the 13th.
Happened to be Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
yes.
we should have had John last week for that. And the 5, I guess, adults, even though I almost said kids, because
Yes,
21,
ma'am.
they were all about that age. One ended up dead. One ended up crippled. He ended up, well, not only you, I'm sure, ended up in prison.
Right.
So we have Dr. Jim Slaughter helping us today, too.
Hello,
to interview
everybody. Good to
Jason.
be back. Yeah.
Jason, you are actually from Canton?
I grew up in a town between Canton and Van. It was
Van.
Van is where I went to high school. Actually, I went there from kindergarten to graduation. So there's a little community between Van and Canton called Oakland Colfax area. That's where I grew up.
Goodness. So I've never met anyone from Van or Canton that
Okay.
actually grew up there. We actually rented a house, like a cabin in Van, me and my
Okay.
family one time. But Canton's the shopping place 1 month a year for trade days, right?
Biggest flea market in the world. Yeah.
Yes. So we read your story,
Okay.
and we're really blown away by it. So tell us about that night, Friday the 13th.
Okay. Friday the 13th, because of the job that I was working that job probably 70 or 80 hours a week. So I lived in an apartment about 2 miles from where I was working and still stayed the night in the office. That's how late I was staying. And one day I just had this thought that probably wasn't very smart at the time, but no social life. You couldn't even date very long because you're married to the company. And so a friend and I decided to go to the local park in Canton, which there's nothing to do there. You either go to Dallas or Tyler. So we went there, and there was a whole set of people that we had never met before. I knew one of them, went to high school with him, and those guys asked us all about who we were. And then they invited us to come back that night. They said, hey, what we do is we hang out here at the park, and we play volleyball or softball, swim in the lake, whatever, but we all just, 75 or 80 of us, come together, and we just chill, have a good time. So we had done that probably 2 or 3 months before Friday the 13th. And it had progressed from just meeting at the park to on the weekends, people would either come over to my house to party or we'd go to another friend's house and party. Friday the 13th, we were having a huge party at my house, and we probably had anywhere from, 70 to 80 people that were at my house. Some of the people in that group that I had become friends with, if that's what you want to call it, I knew that they were doing some stuff that was dirty, that was illegal. I didn't know exactly because I never asked, and they didn't do it around me. But one of the guys was a guy I went to high school with. Another guy was a martial arts buddy of mine because I'd been in martial arts since I was pretty young. And so 2 of these guys are already at my house. The guy that they call their boss showed up at the house and asked if he could come in. And basically said he had a 30-pack of beer and wanted to know if he could come party. And I told him, yeah. And when he came in, he wanted to talk to 2 of the guys privately. So I told him they could use the back bedroom. Because of my martial arts background, these guys were wanting me to come to work with them without ever telling me exactly everything that they did. This night, the guy I went to high school with comes and talks to me, and he goes, hey, we're going to go down we're going to leave the party, go to the park for just about 10 or 15 minutes, and we're going to talk about 2 jobs. One's going to pay $2,000, one's going to pay $10,000. If you're interested, you can get down with us. If not, we won't, bother you about it anymore. And I told him, no, I'm not going to leave the party. Y'all go ahead. So he goes and tells him I'm not going. Him and one of my best friends come and tell me the same thing. 2 jobs, one pays $2,000, one pays $10,000. I turn them down the second time.
Now, you turned him down because, did you turn him down because you didn't know what it was about or because of the party?
Because of the party.
Yeah, you were having a party.
We had planned a huge party, and it made no sense to me to leave my party to go talk about something I felt like we could talk about any other time. And I've always been a people person. I love being around my friends. I don't want to leave to go talk about something I wasn't really interested in. All 4 guys come out and ask me the same thing. And just out of frustration, I changed my answer and said, fine, let's just go. So we tell everybody at the party we're going to leave and go to the park for a little bit, and we'll be right back. And that one yes right there just changed, the next forever. Decade of my life. Yeah. So we leave there. We pass the park almost immediately, and the friend that I was in the back of the truck with knocks on the sliding rear window and asks where we're going. He was told to sit down and shut up. We drive all the way out to Ben Wheeler, which is like another, I don't know.
I've never been Wheeler, so they lied to you.
Yeah, so they at least lied for sure about where we were going. Yeah. So we went out another, whatever it is, 12 or 15 miles, and it's 10, 11 o'clock at night, dark night, all these back roads, we end up at a pasture. When we're at that pasture, the friend that's in the back with me says, hey, this is where we go hog hunting. And I said, okay. So we drive off in there, and then we get out of the truck. My friend steps over the tailgate first. As I'm stepping over the tailgate, my friend says, hey, what's that for? And when I turned to look in the direction, the driver, this is the guy that they call their boss, is pulling out a shotgun. So immediately my alarm goes up just a little bit, but at the same time, not crazy because I'm friends with most of these guys except for the guy they call their boss.
That's because he goes hog hunting there, so they were worried about hogs.
Yeah,
maybe?
And that's exactly what he said. He said, this is just for protection. There's a lot of wild hogs out here. Yeah. And so all these guys are not only friends, but they're also family. They're cousins. So my guards aren't completely through the roof. It was just weird that we had to come way out there. So he asked me and my martial arts buddy to sit down to the right and ask his other 2 guys to sit to the left, and he tells us about 2 jobs and says there's a guy in a local town that has messed them over, owes them a lot of money. Whoever beats him up and collects that money, he's going to pay him $2,000. And then as that's soaking in, he says there's a guy in another local town, Athens, and he says he has messed him over really bad, and he said, I have a gun and I have an address. Whoever kills him, I'll pay you $10,000. So, again, before that can even soak in, the best friend that I was riding with in the back speaks up and says, hey, give me the gun, give me the address, I'll kill him. And
your friend?
My friend, yeah.
Oh, that would freak me out.
Yeah, party with and chill with almost daily. And I never known a bad bone in his body, just a guy that everybody loved, made everybody laugh, a funny guy. And he says, give me the gun, give me the address, I'll kill him. And he asked the other guy that's with him, would he want to help him? And he said yes. So he says, okay, I need to talk to you in private. So they go off and they're talking in private, and I'm telling my martial arts buddy, like, why did y'all bring me out here? This is crazy. And he goes, man, don't worry about it. This is just what we do. If you're interested, that's cool. If you're not, we won't mess with you about it no more.
Well, and I was in martial arts, and some of those guys would go try to pick fights at bars so they could practice fighting. Oh, wow. And you had to be careful, like, as you got to know people that were really good martial artists. I mean, just unbelievable. And you also were in kickboxing.
Yes.
And so, again, I know those people too. There are people that are pretty crazy with the stuff that they do. And so I had to be real careful as well.
I think it's about 50-50. I think it depends on the person that's in the martial arts. I think it depends on their personality. And the other 50% is where they're being trained and how they're being trained.
Right.
Because we were taught completely the opposite. You only use it when it's a necessity.
Exactly.
So the guy that I was with was totally the opposite. He was more he felt like he was the bully style type to just push his weight around. So whenever they finished talking, we all gathered back up, and they act like we didn't talk about anything serious whatsoever. They went to immediately talking about the party, and let's go back to the party and who they're going to dance with and drink with and whatever. We walk all the way back to the truck, and everything just starts changing. The guy with a gun says, hey, I just bought this shotgun today. I want to shoot it before we leave. And I don't know who said it first, but somebody says it's too dark. It's, you can't even hardly see your hand in front of your face. Let's just leave. And then he would get a little more angry and say, I want to shoot this gun before we leave. By the time it's over, everybody has said, it's too dark, it's too late, we can't see anything, let's just go. And he pretty much just gave the ultimatum, we're not leaving until I shoot this gun. And so the same 2 guys that had volunteered to give us the gun and the address, we'll kill this guy for you, said, okay, we'll walk out to the woods. If we see anything, we'll get out of the way and let you shoot. And I'm like, I'm not walking in front of this dude at all. And I'm still not thinking he's going to shoot somebody, but I'm like, I'm just not going to be in front of him, So we take off walking. We don't walk very far at all. And then the guy with the gun says, hey, do y'all see any hogs? And when I looked up in his direction, I don't know if I heard the gun or saw the flame coming out of the gun first, but he shot 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. And the guy that I went to high school with fell face first, and he turns to the left, and 3 more shots. Boom, boom, boom. And my best friend falls face first.
Oh, so 2 people were shot.
2 people were shot, yes. So I thought he was just going to swivel around and start shooting me and everybody. So I took off running. Almost immediately, I fell into a little creek bed because I couldn't see where I was going. I jump right out of it, take off running. I hear somebody running with me. I look over, and I can tell it's my martial arts buddy because he had a white jersey and stuff on. I thought he was running with me, but when I came out of that creek bed, he runs into me. So I thought he just accidentally ran into me. We hit the ground. He actually helps me up. He sticks his arm out to help me up, but when he helps me up, what we call big chesting. He hits me double-handed in the chest, and it throws me into the truck. When I came off the truck, I'm martial arts minded, fixing to get him. And before I could even do anything, the guy with the gun was right back up on us and sticks the barrel of the gun up against my lips and asks me where I think I'm going. So there was a fight not a physical fight, but there was a verbal fight between them, whether they were going to kill me or not. And my martial arts buddy finally just grabs the barrel of the gun, takes it off my face, and tells him, we can't kill him. We can't go back to the party. We told everybody we were leaving. They saw us leave with him. We have to go back to the party with him. And so to save a long story short, he gives another ultimatum. Okay, fine. He can either stay here with them, meaning they're going to kill me too, or he can leave with us. But if he's going to leave with us, he's got to go finish them off. Neither one of them were dead. You could hear them screaming. So they put the shock cassette in at this point. I can hear everything, but I can't even function. All those years of martial arts are just out the door. All I'm thinking is these guys are fixing to kill me in the middle of this pasture. Nobody knows where I'm at. Nobody has a clue. I'm 21 years old and I'm fixing to die. And they try to give me the gun, but I don't even have my wits about me to grab it like you would hold a gun. So they cradle it in my arms and they load it while I'm holding it that way. They tell me again to go finish the guys off or they're going to kill me. My martial arts buddy, they show me that they both have pistols on them, and I'm told if I don't finish them off, they'll just shoot me in the back of the head. I still can't get my body to function, so my martial arts friend grabs me by the arm and takes me walking in that direction. So as we're walking, I have a thought about the other guy, and I turn and look, and he stayed at the truck out of earshot. So I asked this friend of mine, and when I say friend, him and his girlfriend are fixing to move into my house a week from this night, like that kind of friend. She's dating him. The parents don't like him, and they said either you can stay home and ditch him, or if you want to be with him, you got to move out. So a week from this night, they're moving into my house. That's how close we were. And whenever we got out of earshot, I told him, I said, hey, man, are you serious? Are you really going to make me do this? And he just, as cold as he could and calm, this is what I do, and this is how I make my money. Don't make me do what he said. A friend, a very close friend, no problem whatsoever. And so we walk out that way. The second guy that got shot thinks he got shot on accident. So he's walking right back up on us, and he's screaming for me, Jason, help me. Jason, I got shot. Jason, help me. Jason, help me. And then the guy behind me is, you better shoot him. You better shoot him. And that played out 3 or 4 times of my friend screaming for help and the guy behind me threatening to kill me until he got very close to us. And then the guy behind me pulls the hammer back on the gun and says, shoot him. And I raised the gun and I shot twice. Don't know if I hit him. Don't know where I hit him. I don't even know. I just raised the gun in his direction. I fired twice. And as soon as I fired, the very first thought that came over me was disgust and then anger. But I knew I still wasn't all the way there because I turned around and I threw the shotgun at my martial arts friend. Because that's one of the things I beat myself up over for a lot of years is why didn't I just turn around and shoot both of these guys? So that part just never crossed my mind.
So did you end up shooting the other guy too?
No. This guy took the gun and reloaded it, and he continued to shoot this guy 18 more times. He reloaded 3 times and was walking circles around him and talking bad to him, talking crazy to him, and shot him 18 more times until he killed him. Then he comes back over and gives me the gun. The guy from the truck runs over to us, sees me with the gun, thinks I did all that shooting, and says, hey, good job, buddy. I knew you had it in you.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So we need to hear more of this.
Yes.
I know that it's just such a tragic story, right?
Your life is going to take a big turn, though, soon after,
a
few years after
dramatically.
that. And so,
yes.
We want to hear about that as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, Jason, I know for you've come so far from that.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Stay right here, and we are going to share what more happened that night and just really have you see how he changed the rest of his life.
Okay.
Say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said one of these days I need to call Dr. Wallach and find out what I need? Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Longevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today. 800-214-0065.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Mind around it, yeah.
All right.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Wow, what a story. We have Jason Cole telling us about the Friday the 13th and night that his life changed on a dime, and he ended up in prison following not too long after that. So, Jason, finish your story. I know that you had just ended up, they were going to shoot you if you didn't shoot somebody.
Yes, and then I ended up shooting 2 times and then threw the gun at my martial arts friend, and he takes the gun, reloads 3 different times to shoot 18 more times. After he shoots 18 times, of course, my friend is dead. He gives me the gun. The guy from the truck, their boss, comes running up, sees me with a gun, and thinks that I did all that shooting. So he pats me on the shoulder and says, "Good job, I know you had it in you." Takes the gun and gives it right back to the martial arts guy and says, "Let's go back and finish the other guy off." So to try to move along, because there's so many details, we could do this for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
Of that whole night?
There's just so much that went on, and it's not all super important for what we're doing here. But long story short, we cannot find the other guy. What had happened was the first shot hit him in the neck. The second shot blew his kneecap off. and the third shot missed him completely. He has an Army background, so he began to bear crawl immediately, and he crawled like 800 yards to a house to call 911.
So he knew it wasn't an accident that he got shot.
He knew. The second guy thought he got shot on accident. The first one knew that this was not right. So he crawled to a house and got 911 already on the way. So they kind of panic and freak out and realize that we need to get out of there. We don't have flashlights or anything. So they're still debating on whether they're going to kill me or not. Even while we're in the truck, they want to go to Walmart and get some supplies. They're also going to use that as an alibi to say that we went to Walmart for party stuff, and the two guys left with some girls. It was going to be their cover story.
Not very smart.
Yeah. Well, come to find out, that, the guys were not very smart at all. So we go to Walmart to get some supplies and flashlights mainly because they're going to want to go back and look for bodies. And then they decide to go back to the park because there's always somebody hanging out in the park, and they wanted alibis again. So by this time, I'm thinking crystal clear. I have calmed down. My brain's engaged. And by this time, I tell them, like, hey, what we need to do is go back to my house and get in my truck and follow you to get rid of this truck. If we go back in y'all's truck, the cops might be looking for your truck. But really, I just want to get my truck and get out of there. And they bought it, like hook, line, and sinker. And I even convinced them to let me bring a friend along to help them get away. We go back to the house. They get that shotgun out, reload it, set it outside my door, and tell me if I speak to anybody at my party, they'll just unload on everybody in my house.
And they would.
And they would have. I just saw them do it to two guys. So we go in the house. Everybody's, Jason, are you okay? Jason, are you sick? You're white as a ghost. Where are these other two guys? And I'm not even allowed to talk. We go to the back bedroom. We share some information with the martial arts guy's girlfriend, and then my buddy. I'm trying to get him to come with us. Everything looks good according to plan. We go to leave, and more people had come to my party and blocked in my truck. The plan fell completely apart. They made me ride with the martial arts guy, and they made my buddy, who was going to help me, ride with the guy they call their boss. We leave there, go to some house and get rid of their truck and one of the guns. We all load up in the new truck of my martial arts buddy, and we drive back out there. We get there. It's lit up like the 4th of July. Cops, helicopters, ambulances. Right. We go to leave. Nobody is pulling us over, even though we're getting passed by cops because we're in a different vehicle. We get on the main road to try to make it all the way back, and everybody's panicking and wanting to get out of town. And an off-duty police officer I'm still friends with today was driving by to see a friend in the hospital and saw 4 guys driving around without a seatbelt on, and decided to pull us over to check on us and tells us, if your license comes back clear, I'll let you go, but I just want to make sure y'all weren't drinking and driving. Pulls us over. I thought we were going to be scot-free because it had just happened, but as soon as he ran our names, they said our first, middle, last name, pulled the gun, got us out of the car, arrested us. We were charged with capital murder and attempted capital murder, the first murder case in Canton in 20 years, first capital murder case ever. So
is that because no one was murdered in Canton?
It was the first murder case in Canton in 20 years. Wow. 20 years. It's just a small, good boy country town. First capital murder case ever. And ours just happened to be the first murder of 8 that year. Ours happened, and then 8 more happened by the end of the year. It was just triggered something, I guess. So anyway, just a couple of details before I talk about prison is the guy who they call their boss, almost immediately, a few months into this, signed a 40-year plea bargain to testify that I was the guy that masterminded everything.
And they let him off?
They didn't let him off. He was allowed to sign for 40 years instead of going to trial and get life or the death penalty. Yeah. So the martial arts guy went all the way to trial saying he wasn't even there that night, that he was the one we picked up after the fact. And so he went to trial. He got a life sentence. And then the guy that I brought in to help me, come to find out, he had a charge pending I didn't know about. He had slept with a minor, a 14-year-old girl. And so to get out of that, he signed a plea agreement that he would testify in court that I was bragging about killing these 2 guys 2 weeks before it ever happened. So anybody that I called friend had all turned on me by the time this was over with.
Isn't that interesting? That's how it works.
It's very interesting.
Right?
That's
that they even allow that they just go, okay.
It's about the conviction most of the time. It's not about the truth. You'll find that out in most places that you go with the court systems.
Wow. So that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So in the end, the guy who signed 40 years to say that I masterminded it, he recanted his statement and said that I had no prior knowledge to the events that night. So I ended up getting a 12-year sentence for manslaughter.
What? Wow. Okay. And when was that?
That was so this happened 2001, and I got the 12 years for manslaughter 2004.
Stay right here.
Does your business
with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Looking for a great meal at one of the best restaurants in North Texas? Head to the Delta Hotel by Marriott, Dallas Allen, and Waters Creek Convention Center in Allen, where celebrity chef Stephen Piles brings his delicious twist to true Texas cuisine at their signature restaurant, Stampede 66. From incredible steaks and tasty sides to delicious desserts, Stampede 66 has it all. The Delta Hotel by Marriott in Allen also has casual dining and great craft cocktails at the Canyon Bar. Don't have game tickets? You won't miss a play when you and your friends watch on Delta's 18-foot screen outside on the patio by the pool. Check the Delta's website for special events, including stand-up comedy nights and live music. From gourmet Texas food at Stampede 66 to a snack by the pool on the patio, the Delta Hotel by Marriott with the Canyon Bar and Stampede 66 in Allen is the place to meet for great food, fun, and entertainment. 777 Waters Creek Boulevard in Allen. That's Stampede 66 at the Delta Hotel by Marriott in Allen. 469-675-0800. 469-675-0800. How's your golf game? Meet Pat Wheeler, host of Texas Links on the Air.
The thing I love about golf, it's the discussions are never ending. You can talk about anything and it's interesting. The clothes, the courses, the instruction, the equipment, and the people who play, of course. The quote of the year so far, Dr. Lemack said, I'll be 110 days. I think I'll get a Hershey bar and go hit some balls. That's what we talk about on Texas Links on the Air. Don't miss it.
Texas Links on the Air, Saturday mornings at 8 on 1160 AM, KBDT. Your great life today. 10-8255 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
We do have the phones on today. I know sometimes we don't, but we do today in case Jason wants to take any calls. If you would like to talk with him, you can also go on Facebook and see the video at Getting Better with Ann Beal on Facebook. You can go to my email, gettingbetterwithanbeal@gmail.com. Do we ever have a caller that quick? Okay, the number 214-810-8255 if you would like to call in and talk to Jason. 214-810-8255. We have people on Facebook and Instagram letting us know, that they cried during a story. People are pretty blown away, and we know it can happen to anyone's kids.
Right.
And anyone, really, that's why we want to be careful who you hang out with.
Absolutely.
And we do try to teach our kids that. But in your case, you hung out with these people. You trusted them. You played volleyball with them all the time. Mm-hmm. You knew that they were like these kids who say their friends do marijuana or they sell marijuana, right?
Sure.
Like they just don't want to know, and they don't really get involved. And so I could see how this could happen to you. But what a terrible tragedy, going to prison. So the guy recanted, the guy that really set all this up and said that he took a plea bargain and saying it was you.
Yes.
He actually recanted.
So
what happened with that? I know you still went to prison.
I still went to prison. So I'll talk about this briefly because I want to eat up any time to talk about the really good stuff. Right. But so he recanted, and it really didn't help a whole lot. Not
I
really.
would think not. Like what?
So it didn't help much. It made me feel better. I thought it was my get out of jail free card, and it didn't do anything besides create some more doubt. So basically what happened was the DA said that, okay, that doesn't prove anything. It just proves that the guy's a liar. He said you did it. Now he's saying you didn't, so it kind of washes out. But there was enough people kind of coming to my side that was talked about my character and who I was and stuff to at least create some doubt. So what happened was Texas has a law called a Texas Party Law, and the gist of it is if you're in the vicinity of the crime, you didn't try to stop it, and you can't prove that you didn't have prior knowledge, it carries 2 to 20. So no matter what was going to happen, I'm going to get at least 20 years if I go to trial. Wow. Guaranteed.
I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. There was no way I was not walking out of the jail. Not going to. Not going to happen.
So otherwise, in order to not go to prison, the only thing you could have done was
go to trial and try to get found not guilty.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it would have just been getting killed for you to not do anything and just let yourself die.
Yeah, but I would have also had to try to go to prison and to court and prove how you prove you don't have prior knowledge. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know how you do that.
But I did a lot of counseling with my attorneys. My family did not want me to plea bargain. They wanted God to show up. I was very weak in the faith at that point, if I had any faith at all. I knew of God. I didn't know God. But I was too scared. I knew that if I took the 12 years that I would get another chance at life if I survived prison. And I knew that if I went all the way to trial and I ended up getting a life sentence or death penalty, no matter who it would upset that I took that, I'm the guy that's got to do the time.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
And you know what?
Yeah.
Thank God for your martial arts background going to
Amen.
prison.
That came in handy several times.
Right.
So anyway, I decided to take the 12 years. And the sad part of the story, not that that's not already sad, is when I go to prison, it's a whole nother culture. It's a whole nother, I mean, you can do 100,000 shows on prison culture. It's just insane if you've never been. And the New Orange is the New Black and all those shows that are out there, like that, they don't even come close.
I guess they can't, can they?
No,
you
it's
can't put
hard
that
to come
stuff on
close.
TV.
Yeah. But so I go to prison, and it's a survival of the fittest type mentality. And it also depends on, there's better units than others, depends on where you land and your age and all that. But there's several places that pretty much if you're not in some kind of group, if you don't run with a group, you're almost picked off. Mm-hmm. So, and I won't go real far into that again because of time, but I say that to say that I ended up running with a group of guys. So I didn't even learn my lesson about hanging out with bad people. I go to prison and jump right in with bad people again. The thing that was different is I didn't like being told by these people that I felt were dumber than I was intellectually, telling me what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And so my theory was that if I'm going to be in this group or this gang, then I need to run it. And so then I took over this organization while I was in prison. Anyway, I did that for a while, and that's just all my stupidity God uses for his glory. So because I was, they call it a speaker. They don't necessarily call it a gang leader. They call it the speaker. So when I was speaking for this organization, my job whenever a new guy hits the dorm was to go ask him a couple of questions, interview him. Are you in a gang? Mainly like a supremacist gang, because they're different from what I was running in. What I was running in had nothing to do with racism. It was just a group of guys that were going to look out for each other. Doesn't make it good, just it's a little bit better. But anyway, so my job was to find out if he was in some kind of supremacy gang, and if he was, then I told him where his people sat. Y'all sit over there, that's y'all's bench, y'all's table, whatever. If they weren't in a gang already, then I would ask them if they wanted to get down with mine. And if they said yes, then we would run about 2 or 3 people in his house and beat him up for about 2 minutes to see if he was going to fight. And if he folded up, then he wasn't allowed to be in it. If he fought, then he was allowed to be in it. But if they said, no, I'm not in a gang, no, I don't want to be in yours, then I was to tell them, you can't live here. You need to tell the guards that you're in fear for your life and get out. And so this guy comes in, and he's this little bitty guy. When you see him, you're like, oh, they shouldn't have sent him to prison. He's too little. I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. So he comes in. I have no idea this guy's fixing to change my whole life. So he comes in, and it's my job to interview him. So I go up to him, and I basically say, are you in a, they call it a family. I'm trying not to use a whole bunch of words people won't understand because we don't have time to explain everything. But right. I asked him if he was in a family, and he said, no, I'm not. It's just me and God. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're one of those. Because I had zero respect for Christians in prison. The few that I met were usually using that to hide behind it. They weren't legit. And I've been in church my whole entire life, and I just, obviously in my mind, I'm like, church didn't work for me. Look where I'm at, you know? So me and God were not on cool terms at all. This kid tells me it's just me and God. I'm like, okay, well, God don't even live in this dorm. It's bad, so you need to get out of here. And I said, unless you want to get down with me and my homeboys. He said, no, I don't want to get down with you and your homeboys either. It's just me and Jesus. That's it. And I said, okay, then you're going to have to leave. You can't live here. And he says, no, I'm not going to leave because I feel like God put me here for a reason. Whoa. And in 5 years, nobody has ever told me that. They've either said, yes, I'm in a gang, and I tell them where to sit, or they say, yes, I'll get in yours, or they say, no, I'll leave. For 5 years, every man I ever encountered said one of those 3 things. This kid says, I'm not in a gang, I'm not getting in yours, and I'm not leaving. Wow. And he's a little guy, and I'm like, dude, I will hurt you, man. I guess he'd have to be bold. I will hurt you, man. You don't know me. So anyway, it messed me up so bad I had to go to the day room and sit down and think about what am I even going to do with this kid. And all my homeboys come up. Hey, what's up with that kid up there? And they're like, is he in the gang? I'm like, no, he's not. And they're like, okay, cool. Is he going to get down with us? I'm like, no, I don't think so. They're like, oh, okay, so you're going to make him leave? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't know what I'm doing with this kid. And so they're like, okay, well, then we're going to go up there and beat him up and make him leave. And this kid I've known all of about 5 minutes or less. And it just comes out of my mouth. And I was like, anybody that goes up there and touches that kid, you're fighting me next. Mm-hmm. Went against all my homeboys, went against all of prison culture over a kid I don't even know. Wow. But it was the respect of this guy's got a backbone, you know. So lo and behold, this guy stays, and just every single day, he would either have a scripture or a book or something. He's like, hey, read this. Tell me what you think about it. And he's younger than I am, too, on top of that. And so I would read it, and it would all hit me because I was born and raised in church, just running from all that. One part of the story I left out, and I don't even remember if I put it in the book or not, was 6 months before I go to jail, God woke me up out of a dead sleep and called me to preach, crystal clear, to the point to where I got up and wrote it down. I was excited that night, went to bed, woke up the next day scared to death, literally left the house, like moved out of that house and ran from God. So I knew a lot of God things, probably more Bible stories than most pastors at the time. Like, I've been churched well, but was running from God. So this guy would give me stuff, and whatever he would give me to read would just hit me. And then lo and behold, one day he tells me, he says, I want you to go to church with me one time as a friend. I was like, no, I don't do the church thing. Church didn't work for me. He's like, go one time, I'll never ask you to go again. So I go to church one time, and it was called Kairos, and it was a prayer and share meeting.
Kairos.
Yeah. So I go to prayer and share, and I'm sitting in the circle, and almost every guy in that circle was either a guy that I had beat up or made leave a dorm. So I'm just feeling like a real piece of junk sitting in this circle, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And they told me I didn't have to speak. They were very kind. And one of my things in prison, besides being a disappointment and angry and bitter and hurt, I felt like nobody could relate to me. Like, I just felt like I was totally different. And these guys began to share their stories and different things. And by the time they made it around that circle, collectively, they had all shared my story and didn't even know it. And for the first time in prison, I'm bawling. I mean, uncontrollable, ugly, crying, bawling. Wow. And they didn't embarrass me. They hugged on me. They loved on me. They invited me to sign up for Kairos. Signed up for Kairos. I was like the 13th alternate. There was no way I was going to get to go. And the day of the walk, 13 guys got in trouble and kicked off the weekend, and I got to go on the weekend. So I went on the weekend. The third day of the Kairos, they do their agape ceremony where you get all these letters from people you know and some people you don't know. And I was told in prison, don't read those letters or you're going to cry in front of all these people, and you don't want to be a guy in prison crying. So I chose I wasn't going to read any, but it's a 45-minute ceremony. That's a long time to sit there. So finally I look at the deal, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to read one, because I could tell one was made by a kid. It was made out of construction paper. So I was like, I'll just read that one. It's safe. Yeah. So I grabbed this construction paper, and you could tell a kid did it, and it said, inside this card is a handful of love. I was like, okay, that's cute or whatever. Yeah. I open it up, and there's this handprint about this big that's traced, and it says, I love you and God loves you too, Courtney, 9 years old. And I can't even explain what that did to me, but it broke me in half.
Really?
I mean, broke.
Wow, that's
because I'm thinking this kid, this 9-year-old girl, does not care that I'm in prison, doesn't care I got 2 murder cases, doesn't care that I've been a jerk since I've been in prison, doesn't care I've been running from God. All she wanted to know was she loves me, she's praying, and God loves me too. And it broke me in half. And that night they did an altar call, and I jumped up and got saved. And I told those people, I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but just as hard as I ran for my homeboys, I'm fixing to run after God. I'm going to flip this unit upside down. And from that very day, it's just been a bonfire in my heart to do whatever I could. And some guys had this idea to start a faith-based dorm in the prisons. They got that started up. I came into it about 6 months later, helped them get that raised up, became a leader in that program. Now there's a faith-based dorm in almost every unit in Texas. Yeah. Started preaching in 2008 while I was in prison, and we just did some amazing. There's church on that one particular unit 7 days a week. And there's so much God stuff going on. The community raised $2.1 million to build a chapel there because there were so many men trying to come to church that were getting turned away. There was no room for them.
What is that community there?
It's Torres unit in Hondo, Texas. So James Avery, the jewelry company, donated like $1 million just themselves.
Did they really?
Yes.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So I got to help do the opening ceremony there just a couple of months ago. Just a lot of stuff I could wear you out with amazing God stories. So I do 11 years on my 12-year sentence. Everywhere I go, God's just used me in a mighty way. I'm not even upset about being locked up, really, just enjoying the God stuff. And so I come home March 2012 and get a job at a horse trailer dealership in Canton. I'm still there today. And God just gave me favor there. I've worked my way up through the company, and it's been a blessing. And then my boss, I started going back into the prisons as a volunteer. I started a mentorship, discipleship program there. Started out with about 20 guys. Now there's like 400, 450 guys in it. And what we do is we go after the guys that are the knuckleheads. They're locked up. So every prison's already bad, but they're divided up. You have a good side and a bad side. The bad side, those guys are locked up 23 hours a day. So 1 hour a day, they get to eat, get a little bit of sunshine, and get a shower. And then they're locked back up 23 hours a day. But it's all your gang leaders, gang members, your men of influence. And God gives me this idea one day. There's no privileges whatsoever for those guys. And I'm like, if we could ever reach those guys legally, if somebody would let us back there to talk to them, they would change the culture of the prison for you. You wouldn't have to have programs. These men would do it because they're already men of influence. And God gave that place a a Christian warden, and we met, and God gave me a favor with him, and he let me do that idea, and it's just been amazing. So I'll share one quick story of that. We've got several hundred guys we need to baptize. We decided to do a baptism service there at the prison one day. I go in there and I tell them, look, I come once a month, but I've raised up mentors to mentor you while I'm not here the other 3 weeks. So whenever you come up to get baptized, I would love to baptize all 50 of you guys. But if you would like another guy, even another inmate to do that, I will absolutely let that guy do that for you. Yeah. So while I was locked up, there was a black gentleman named David Gaynor. He was a racist black man that was also a Nation of Islam Muslim, right? Mm-hmm. While I went home, this guy got saved. When I came back as a volunteer, he became one of my mentors and became extremely close friends. Mm. A white gentleman named Jonathan gets saved. He was not only second in command of the Aryan Brotherhood, a racist supremacist gang, he was also second in command of the Luciferians, the satanic worshipers. So a white supremacist gang member, satanic worshiper. Jonathan gets saved. He comes up, and I said, Jonathan, who would you like to save? Who would you like to baptize you? And he says, David Gaynor. And I never saw the picture until I turned and looked, and I've got this white supremacist satanic worshiper coming up asking an ex-black racist Muslim man to be the one to baptize him. And I was like, where are you going to see that in the Free World Church? And people wonder why I want to do prison ministry. Like, you might never see something like that out here. But the dynamics in prison are totally different. So it's one of my favorite stories to get to share of what God does in that place and see them embrace when it's over with and things like that.
Well, I just want to let you know the phone, the Instagram, Facebook, everything's blowing up. So everybody is just loving hearing this. You've changed the world. You have literally changed the world. And so it's such an amazing thing that God used you that way.
Amen.
And He continues using you.
Yes.
And we want them to know what you're doing now. And let them know about your book, your documentary, everything, and then where you're speaking so they can have you come speak, everything like that.
Oh, lovely. Yes.
It also occurs to me that there must be messages that you would like to impart to people through your life, through your experience, through your giftedness,
Absolutely.
all of that, about God and what God does, even in the midst of chaos. And
Absolutely.
that we wanted to give you a little time to say something about those messages that are got to be so important.
Yes. Amen.
Okay. Good deal.
Amen.
Wow. Okay. So we wanted to let just Ava and Julie and all the people on Facebook.
Hello,
just
Ava.
Thank you so much for all your messages. And just stay right here for our listeners here in Dallas. And when we come back, Dallas-Fort Worth, we are going to let Jason just share where he is.
Say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said one of these days I need to call Dr. Wallach and find out what I need? Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Hello, this is Wayne Allen Root, relentless conservative warrior, middle-class warrior, and always Trump warrior. I have a message for my fellow patriots across America. President Trump is making America great again. He's the only president in my lifetime who is keeping his promises, and his biggest promise is to build that wall. President Trump can only do it with our help. If Congress won't fund Trump's wall, we will. President Trump is one man against the world, and what globalists and socialists around the world want is clear, open borders. It's time to take a stand. We either build a wall, or it's the end of the greatest nation in world history ever blessed by God. That's why I founded the Root for the Wall PAC. 63 million Trump voters together will raise the money President Trump needs for the wall. Anyone who donates $100 or more will get a beautiful commemorative wall brick. Display it proudly. Call 844-ROOT-WALL. That's toll free, 844-ROOT-WALL. Or go to rootwall.com. We will build this wall together. Call 844-ROOT-WALL or go to rootwall.com. Root for the Wall PAC. Paid for and responsible for the content of this message. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Rootwall.com.
You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Youngevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today, 800-214-0065. Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible Youngevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now, back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
That's it.
Wow. Okay, we had a great break. If you want to hear during the break, if you would like to, during the break of Getting Better with Ann Beal, on Facebook and Instagram, we have the video, and we actually continue during the break on the commercials.
Okay.
So, you have had so many people asking questions, so we are just going to let you actually, I'm not even sure where we stopped on the radio.
I know where we're at. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
So basically, we went through all the prison stuff, and then going back as a volunteer, and then you were asking, what do I do now?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for
I was
bringing me
paying
back. That was such an incredible break. Yes. So now you speak. You just spoke in New York. You just spoke at a high school here.
Mm-hmm.
You speak. Anyone can invite you to come speak.
Sure. I love it.
How do they reach you?
Right now, people are getting on to me because I don't have my own website and all that stuff. Like God's just been bringing me stuff so rapid fire. Like I just say yes and go. So I've never slowed down to do a website and all that. So really, the easiest way is my email is my full name, BrianJasonCole@yahoo.com. Facebook, I'm on Facebook just under Jason Cole. It's a picture of me and my grandfather. And then on Instagram, it's BrianJasonCole1980. So that's the easiest way to get me right now.
Brian Jason Cole 1980.
1980. Yes,
and
the year I was born.
Brian Jason Cole at
Yahoo.com.
Yahoo.com.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so you guys get to him because he's got an incredible story. Jim's got to get you to Wingman. Have you been to Wingman yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, we
You know
got to get
anything
you to
about
Wingman.
that?
No.
The Wingman, just quick, a huge men's organization started by Chad Hennings, football player, Cowboys, about 10 years of playing with them. And he started a men's organization after retired from football. It's huge, and it's basically men, men supporting men, guys relationship oriented, and it's great. Meets every other Friday in Grapevine where we are, and then other places around. But at any rate, it's a great organization to know about, go to if you're close, and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'd ask you to consider also as we finish up here about what messages you would want to impart to people. What do you want people to get out of the program today?
I want to get a couple things, and I'll say this before I get into that. But the stuff that I do, my boss got me connected with Ziglar organization. Mm-hmm. So I've hooked up with those guys and became a Ziglar Certified Speaker Trainer. Love those guys. They're all Christian people, amazing. But we do have the book that will be wrapped up very soon. It's going to be called God Wastes Nothing. That's my main message. Yeah. God Wastes Nothing. Everything,
great message.
Everything that I thought was ending my life was actually just training for what I'm doing now. There's a documentary that we have started, and then also there will be a movie called Jason Reborn that's going to be done next year. So those are the things that are going on. I've also hooked up with a company here in Dallas called the Securus Foundation,
The
who is
Securus?
it's called the Securus Foundation. So the Securus business has phone systems in all the prisons across the United States. They started their own foundation by Dawn Freeman. She has called the Securus Foundation. And what she does is reentry. She goes into the prisons to help create reentry programs. We do 2-day workshops there. That's why I went to New York and Ohio and Virginia. And going back to Virginia, I went with them. And then also they go to the communities to make sure that there's legit programs for them. So those are the things I'm doing right now. I went to my first high school yesterday. Fruitvale High School was amazing. I hope to do a lot of those. That was my first school. Been praying about going to schools for a long time.
Well, and we need you there so these kids can learn.
It was fantastic.
You know,
it was so powerful. It was so powerful.
Yeah.
Because friendships are going to determine the trajectory of your life. So messages, my main one is God wastes nothing. That's what I love to talk about. I don't care what your story is. I don't care how much you want to whine and complain about it. God knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to use that for your story to help other people. The other thing is, in prison, besides just being angry, like I felt like this huge disappointment. It's something that Satan has beat me up with my entire life. I've just always, no matter how, my achievements, martial arts, A honor roll, college, all that stuff was really just trying to get people's attention and validation and affirmation because I've always felt like a disappointment. It's just something, the Bible says to beware of Satan's schemes.
Right.
One of his schemes against me is just always feeling like a disappointment. You can't ever do enough. And people might think that that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, and that's absolutely not true. I'm doing this stuff now because I'm called. Like, I don't feel like a disappointment at all anymore. Like, that's something God has overcome. But you can't fight a lie unless you know the truth. And so 11 years in prison, I spent 6 of it in my Bible 3-4 hours a day. And I read this verse. Everybody knows Psalms 139. It starts off in 14, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and all that good stuff. But verse 16 says something like this, and I'll paraphrase. God knew everything you would ever do before you lived one day, and recorded it in his book. And logically, that hit me one day. I don't care where you're at faith-wise. Logically, if God knows everything you're ever going to do before you live one day, he knows everything, good or bad, and records it in his book, how can you logically be a disappointment to somebody that knows everything you're ever going to do before you lived your first day?
That is a great word. That is a great word. Jason, thank you so
Oh,
much
thanks
for
for having me.
sharing
Had a
with our
blast.
audience. And we just wish you the greatest in the future, and we know it's just God's got you and going to do amazing things. We look forward to being a lot of those things. We want to let you know next week we're going to have Chad Henning. We actually went to his house and did the recording.
Oh, yeah.
And he will talk about wingmen, so we just want you to listen next week. He won't be on video because we went to his house. But we just thank you so much for listening to Jason, and we look so forward to having you get better with us. So join in.